Hi, I'm Trip Babbitt, and in the effective executive, I don't know, maybe I'll call this an addendum. Um, this past week, I put together a uh, an episode that covered Wells Fargo and some of the things that I had been going through, and I just wanted to provide an update. And I'm not doing this to, I don't know, stick it in Wells Fargo's face. They've never been a client of mine. I'm a customer of theirs at this point. I just think it's a really good example of things that executives can make themselves aware of. And just kind of give you an update and also maybe review of what I've been going through with Wells Fargo. Back on July 23rd or 22nd, they, at least that's the date of the letter, they sent me a letter saying that I needed hazard insurance. And I didn't even know what Wells Fargo was because I had my loan through another bank. And so when I received this letter, it was really strange because I was like, okay, we're going to have to buy hazard insurance for you, and all this kind of, I don't know whether the word's threatening, but certainly kind of a surprising tone associated with the letter that they sent me. And I, with my loan being through a completely different bank, I was stunned by this particular hazard insurance letter that I received from Wells Fargo. And so then, apparently, a day later, they sent another letter, which I have here, that basically said, "Oh, we see that you have hazard insurance," which I knew I did, for your loan, but still, I had nothing that said my loan had gone to Wells Fargo from this other bank. So my wife called. She made calls to the current loan holder. She made calls to Wells Fargo, and neither one of them could answer the question. We contacted their contact center and talked to a service rep. Could verify that we had a loan that had been transferred to Wells Fargo. So we thought, well, maybe this is some type of a scam letter or something like that. Well, subsequently, a few days later, I did get a verification that yes, my loan had been transferred to Wells Fargo. And I sent out during this time period where we were trying to figure out why we're getting this letter. I tweeted out via Twitter on 8/2, basically a complaint to at Wells Fargo on Twitter and said, I got this letter and I'm not sure why we don't have any record of this being a loan with them. And they corresponded back with me. They were actually very responsive, but we never got anywhere. And they were going to have somebody call me right away. And we never heard from anything. Well, we received a letter yesterday, another one from Wells Fargo, saying that they were working on our problem. They didn't state what the problem was. They didn't anything, but that they would be getting back to us at some point with regard. So I received 3 letters of complete confusion from Wells Fargo, and now that I understand they do have my loan, why they couldn't figure that out when we made a call to their contact center and we talked to the service rep, I'm not sure. But these things are things, and I worked with banks for many, many years, and these are very, these are things that happen all the time in banks, and it mystifies me, other than the fact that banks have got to be the most departmentalized, using analytical thinking for those who follow my channel. Using analytical thinking, meaning they break everything into pieces, and some of it's because of compliance, because they have got to keep things separated from each other. But it just blows my mind how much waste there is in banks. And the larger the banks that I've been in, the worse the waste. So my message, I guess, I wanted to communicate in this video was that kind of not only an update, but do you kind of see the end-to-end frustration from a customer standpoint of me getting these letters, and I'm not sure what it was, if it was a scam, what was going on with Wells Fargo, and not being able to get any headway via Twitter or phone calls or anything else. And I keep receiving these letters, and those are costs associated with what Wells Fargo has to put out. And like I said, Wells Fargo is not unique here. Every bank that I've ever worked with has had a problem with delivering good service. And yet it's a great differentiator. And all of them brag about how great their service is. And again, this is not even in banking, just in banking industry. I worked with large telecoms. I worked with, large sportswear companies. I worked with a combination of many different types of companies. And these are the things that you see. And so I wanted to communicate a message, basically, that in my training, in my coaching of executive teams and executives, these are the types of things that I have them look at. I'm not hiding what it is. It's relatively simple, but looking at the outside communications that you have going out to customers, there's something I like to call mutual mystification. I don't know what they're trying to communicate to me, as I don't have any record of them saying that I have a loan with Wells Fargo, and there's this, they don't understand, where I'm coming from. I didn't understand where they're coming from. And so, but nobody really stepped up, and to this date has stepped up and tried to solve the problem, even though the problem now kind of has solved itself. So any outside communication that your organization is sending to customers, pay attention to what those things are. As an executive, it really can impact your organization. And the second thing I wanted to communicate about this in this episode or in this video was the customer end to end. And in smaller banks, it's not as difficult because they don't have as many systems. And when I say systems, typically I'm talking about IT systems in their organization. And so it's kind of easy to follow how things are flowing through the organization. But as I've worked with larger banks, they may have 50, 60, 70, 100 different systems that they're using, anything from Excel to, foundational banking systems, core banking systems. And they don't piece together things very well. So my guess is, and I don't know, I don't know Wells Fargo, but that the first letter that I got came from potentially a different department that was, and they probably have some type of target they're supposed to hit. You need to send out a letter if you find that they're missing hazard insurance within, a day or two. But that doesn't help me when it's a week before I get a notification they even have my loan. So these are the things where you have to look at it end to end. And here I've pieced it together for you because I've lived it. Letter 1, letter 2, the communication on Twitter, this newest letter saying that they're working on my problem. It's almost comical, but it's very wasteful. And executives and executive teams that I've worked with study these types of problems within their organization, and the massive amount of wasted time and postage and printing and everything else that's going on in these systems can be relatively easily rectified, as well as getting rid of the gnashing of teeth that customers have from getting these types of communications that you're mystified about. And so there's great opportunity here. And so I wanted to just kind of hopefully finish this off. I don't know. There may be some other update that I'll do, but I think this goes far enough to make my point, is to make sure to look at your outside communications. look at your customer end to end. You may have to look through, system one, IT system software, system one and system two, and put together kind of a end to end look of what the customer is going through. And I think you'll be shocked and maybe surprised, or maybe not. But I think you will, because I've seen many of these systems, and look at what a customer is going through, and can become a case study. And you got to find out whether you're making more of these that are really frustrating to customers. So I just want to kind of finish up on my Wells Fargo event that's been going on.